Ryvita was such an established brand with such a history, but it had always been associated with dieting, as personified in the Inchwall campaign. And that had been successful for a long period of time, but what was happening in the last couple of years was that sales were declining as a younger generation were not buying into the brand as previous people had.
In the Inchwall, make Ryvita the one that helps you win.
It was left with this residual feeling that it was a brand for punitive dieting and cardboard and all those kind of negatives. So it was more of a sort of an act of purgatory to put yourself on a Ryvita diet.
Off the back of that, we then have to launch into a new dynamic category called healthy bag snacks. The good elements that we had to work with, the very strong equities behind the brand, are its truthfulness, its credibility, and its honesty for delivering healthy eating products.
There was a whole new generation of healthy snacks coming out that, as well as being healthy, they had taste and enjoyment in them, which was not a characteristic that was, very close to Ryvita's heart.
Snacker Jacks were already in the marketplace, spending £20 million supporting their brand. We came in as Ryvita Minis with a fraction of that spend up against a Goliath.
We did a lot of work with consumers, and coming out of that, we developed a campaign, Big Taste, Mini Waste. Which was a fantastic expression. As soon as we came up with those words, we thought they were right. As soon as we went to consumers, everyone got it.
Whenever you put Ryvita, people think of waists and being slim. They don't immediately think of taste. And this is the big thing for Ryvita Minis. At last, we've got a Ryvita product that really tastes like a regular snack. So it's important to reinforce both those dynamics.
Having got the advertising idea clearly sorted, we felt very much it was a TV execution that was needed, and that's where we put 100% of our focus.
Television does a lot of different things. Firstly, the trade get really excited about it, and that's critical. It's all about getting distribution in the stores and quickly. So you get, if you've got buyer support, that makes a real difference to the success of launching a new product or not. The second thing that television does is, it has sort of a vital presence in a marketplace. It's quite easy to cut through very quickly and have a real effect. So it's good for launches. Third thing it does is it has a rich kind of potential emotionally to engage women and tell a story and to weave a story and to get, and for food product in particular, things like eating shots are quite important. They're a bit harder to do on other mediums like radio.
Fern Britton was, I think, our lead choice because she has quite a universal appeal.
She's comfortable with who she is, she enjoys herself. When you see her on TV, all she does is laugh, and that's what she's like in real life. So she was a fantastic personality to associate with this brand.
If you look at celebrities, Fern Britton actually was ideal for them, and actually using celebrities is very difficult because you can just shoehorn them in and get awareness, but that's not sufficient to make effective advertising.
Many of the celebrity type executions that you see, the celebrity takes over. Fern is an enabler, and she's becoming inextricably linked with Ryvita.
The campaign had a very strong thought, and what Fern did was really bring it to life for sort of, people out there in the target audience. But then what happened is it started to just gain momentum because the press loved Fern, so we started to get PR coverage in The Sun and all these all these other titles, women's magazines. And then, finally, we were watching TV one night and there it appeared in a sketch on the Catherine Tate show where it was almost verbatim played back to us, our advertising, which was a fantastic moment.
I had a packet of those mini Ryvitas, only 3% fat, but you wouldn't think it because they're a tasty and satisfying snack, and them adverts Fern Britton does are hilarious.
Oh, gee, they are. They're very, very funny.
Her head on a little skinny body, that kills me.
She is game, isn't she?
You couldn't make this stuff up. That's critical PR. We've got 30 seconds of prime time audience, and it's because Catherine Tate, she loves the ads. That's why she wanted to do a sketch on it. Could that have happened without using television? I think it's massively unlikely.
The campaign launched in year one with a very good commercial that had some great cut-through figures and worked very well, and it helped Ryvita achieve its sort of sales targets, 3-year sales targets almost in year one. And then we sort of had to sit down and go, what next?
The client obviously wanted to carry on with that success. And the first thing I said was, look, we can't do the same joke twice. We've got to think of another way of doing this.
It didn't have wear out, but it was getting so talked about, we thought we'd capitalise on it and do another one. So we did, with Fern Britton stepping into a fat suit. And that turned the joke on its head.
Showtime.
It's one of those moments, you know, in advertising when just everyone gets it. And that really continued to build the campaign and get people talking about it.
The third stage of a campaign was really taking it in terms of new product news, so new flavours, salt and vinegar, Worcester sauce, sweet chilli.
Ooh, tasty, saucy, and only 3% fat. These Ryvita minis, I mean.
So flavours was a big part of getting people to believe that we have better taste credentials. So we developed a whole range of 10-second executions, again using Fern and her personality, but they were very much built around a particular flavour, and we used those in conjunction with the 30-second commercials to really deliver some media efficiencies. But also, you know, in building taste credentials, people got these different messages, and that added to the whole overall effect about Ryvita minis.
Ooh, I love a nice portion of salt and vinegar. Ryvita minis.
So they took something that was iconic for the brand and enabled them to talk about Ryvita in a very quick shorthand form. So 10-second commercials, find it difficult to communicate very much, certainly find it very difficult to establish the brand within 10 seconds and communicate, and yet they achieved that.
You have to respect their authentic taste.
In terms of how we use television, 80% of our spend went on it firstly, and that, you know, that is a phenomenal scale of your marketing spend to put into one medium, but it's just always paid back. Secondly, we've used a combination of daytime and prime time, but in terms of spend, 2/3 of it went on prime time, and that's all about getting high profile kind of coverage, getting families talking about it. You know, did you see that thing on television? I don't believe it. Did I just see that? You know, you've got to, that's when you start getting a word of mouth effect. Finally, we've used a lot of 30-second spots, but those have been supplemented with 10s to communicate new product messages, like new flavours, for instance. So it's quite a flexible medium in those kind of terms. It's, you know, there's different things you can do depending on what objectives you're trying to meet.
One always goes into advertising hoping that it's going to change the fortunes of a brand, and you do everything you can to mitigate the risks that the campaign's going to be anything but successful. But I think even ourselves were caught slightly off guard with just how successful Fern has been. But recognising that early is very important, and we continue to spend and we've continued to invest behind the Ryvita brand specifically to grow our franchise, which, you know, compared with 5 years ago, the business is now double the size that it was.
All I remember Peter saying was that he could only compare it to the PG Tips Chimps ads, which historically were the benchmark to talk about.
Thank you most kindly, madam.
Chimps equals PG Tips. As soon as you say Fern Britton, you say Ryvita.
The awareness index being at 10.5, 11 being the highest.
The campaign itself has just been a complete phenomenon in terms of its return on investment. It accounted for 83% of Ryvita's growth. It became a number 2 healthy bagged snack within a year. It achieved its year 3 payback by the end of the first year. It delivered £1.91 return on £1 invested. So on any measure beyond tracking, I mean, it just pays back in spades.
The agency worked tirelessly on this campaign and had the belief at a very early stage that Fern was the right celebrity to take the Ryvita brand forward. They maintained that commitment all the way through, and I think the IPA award for MWO is reward for the agency's hard work.